Friday morning. I'm on day 3 of a juice cleanse, so my brain is not like completely firing at full speed. So, but it felt like an appropriate day to kind of get on and share something that I've been wanting to share for a while, actually. I'm drinking this really sour juice. I've already had one green juice this morning. My husband and I are doing a 3-day juice cleanse. So we've decided to start doing these 72-hour liquid resets once a month. And last month we did a bone broth and coconut water cleanse. And it was so easy. Like literally the 3 days, it was just like piece of cake, like so completely easy. And so now we've been doing this juice cleanse for the last 3 days, and it's been really rough. Much harder than the bone broth and coconut water one. So, but this one definitely, I think, had lots of benefits of getting lots of different vitamins and minerals and things into our system. So this is the last day. We're on day 3. I didn't know if I was going to make it last night, but I'm committed, and so I woke up this morning and I'm now 1.5 juices in already. So I started my day off right today, getting as much juice in as possible in the morning. I haven't been drinking as much, I think, as much juice as I know I haven't been drinking as much as I'm meant to. So it's just constantly an evolution. But I was like, okay, so day 3 of this juice cleanse, like, feels like it's a good day to get on and share and talk about hey Holly. So first I want to kind of talk about what health and wellness has to do with the Leah Steele brand, which I think people, associate now with wealth consciousness work and wealth mindset work and emotional clearing around wealth related stuff, right? And so, you guys will hear me sign off all of my live streams by saying it's your divine birthright to be wealthy. And you'll also hear me saying at times that the word wealthy comes from 2 words, well and healthy. And so literally to be wealthy means to be well and healthy in all areas of your life. I put a big focus on financial wealth because it's an easy access point to people. It's a place where everyone is being controlled to some extent. It's a place where it's an area that we all want to change, that we all want more freedom in, that we all want more control in. And so accessing people through the lens of financial wealth allows me to get in the door and begin doing the work that then ripples out and affects their overall well-being in all areas of their life, right? So, and I do have divine mission work on this planet of deconstructing financial slavery consciousness and ending the global financial agenda and helping as many people wake up to the fact that they are absolutely in control of their financial destiny. So, so the Leah Steele brand will always have a wealth focus, a financial wealth focus, right? But there's this other part of me that I want to talk about today with you guys. And, that is my desire to live a life where I'm healthy. And I titled this live stream how I ended my 30-year battle with my body, because I literally feel like I'm coming out of and have ended a 30-year war with my body. I grew up in towns in Idaho and Utah where I looked extremely different than the other people in my schools, especially when I was in Utah, and it was mostly blonde-haired, blue-eyed Mormon girls that were thin and not curvy at all. And my African American heritage made me look completely different, and it was really hard. It was a struggle. So as I was coming into my teenage years, and especially into those awkward phases where women start maturing and start getting breasts and start getting curves, like, I was miserable, and I wanted to look like everyone else. I wanted to assimilate. I didn't want to stand out. I didn't want to be different. And at that point, it was like, I think I began resenting my body really, really early on. And as a result of that, I was constantly trying to fit in and constantly trying to look thinner or make myself thinner, or make my body comply with what I thought it was meant to look like. And so as a result of that, I'm just finding it really odd that there's only 6 people on this live stream. I'm like, it's working, yeah? You guys can see me. Am I going in and out? Give me a comment and let me know if you guys can see me. Okay. Jeez. I don't remember the last time I only had 6 people on a live stream. Now 5. It's crazy. It's crazy town, I tell you. But I'm grateful for the 5 of you that are here. Okay. Oh, you think it's not tracking accurate numbers? Okay, very possible. I will carry on. So, I literally have done every diet under the sun. I have tried every lifestyle change. I have tried every form of exercise. And I've just lived in this state of, why can't it be the way I want it to be? Why can't I look like J-Lo? Why can't I have this perfect body that's the ideal of what I see in my mind, right? And so I think this is an important pause point to say that I have been on an intense journey of self-discovery, self-responsibility, self-accountability, and self-mastery over the last several years. And I was talking with Dane Thomas, who is the founder of The Spiral, yesterday about some top secret things that we're going to be releasing out into the world. But we were having a conversation yesterday, and I was talking about, how at the end of last year, and especially now into the beginning of this year, I've gotten really, really clear on the vision for the Leah Steele brand. And it's about well-being. So the brand is about well-being. So on one side, I have my wealth alchemy programs, and those include Mastering Your Spiritual Money Game, my Ouroboros program, and the soon-to-be released phase 2 of Ouroboros that will be called Phoenix. And then I do my wealth consciousness work under there, and I am going to begin doing some one-on-one private sessions underneath that kind of wealth alchemy program umbrella. And then the other side of my business is this newer side, which is the Immortal programs that I'm doing with Michelle Patrick. And the Immortal programs are about physical, spiritual, psychological well-being, right? Both divisions of my business are very much about deconstructing programming and conditioning. the programming and conditioning that is keeping us trapped, that's keeping us controlled, that's keeping us disempowered, right? And my nose is itching, so this is gonna be good. So I got really clear on that. And so what's happened as a result of that is I've really streamlined the company. And I've stopped doing all the thousands of little things that I was doing. Now, you're still gonna see me putting out master classes. You're still gonna see me putting out like smaller courses, most likely. But we have a content library of about 600 hours of content. And so you're gonna see me leveraging previously recorded stuff more often, and then maybe like bundling together a bunch of content and then coming in for like 2 new sessions. So I'm still gonna be doing stuff that's accessible to all my client base, but I've decided to really hone in on these 2 areas. So I was talking with Dane yesterday. We were talking about that, about how I've really dialed in like these 2 branches of the Leah Steele brand. I also have a skincare line and called Leah Steele Body, and that skincare line was previously released under the name Armaji, and it will be re-released this year under Leah Steele Body. So that's a big division of the company that focuses on skincare and body care, okay? So overall well-being of the whole body is really what the brand is about. And so I was talking with Dane, and I was talking about when I felt I had the shift, like when I actually felt I shifted from survival mode, from being in, hey Catherine Rollins, from survival mode, from being in from being completely out of control to taking back control, taking back my power. And it was it was late 2017, early 2018, and I met Dane. Right about the same time that I met Dane, I was introduced to human design. And those 2 things were pivotal in where I am now. So at the same time as meeting Dane and being introduced to human design, my physical body began to break down. And it wasn't just a little bit of breakdown. It was like I went from having well, it first started with hypothyroidism, right? So I went from having hypothyroidism, but then I began treating with medication, and I did okay for about a year, to then flipping into reverse T3 syndrome, which is where your body isn't actually converting the T4. So if you know anything about thyroid illness or thyroid disease, I gained 35 pounds, like seemingly overnight, hadn't changed anything. I got frozen shoulder in both of my shoulders. I couldn't move my arms above here, which, as you can imagine, Jack was very little at the time. I couldn't pick him up. It was horrible. Like, it was literally like hell on earth. And if you've ever had frozen shoulder, you know how fucking painful that is. Like, I still to this day have not experienced anything as painful as my frozen shoulders. And I was working, you know, I had recently started this business. I was working like crazy. I think I was doing, I want to say I was doing 25 one-on-one client hours a week. Plus I was doing all the live streams on my public page. Plus I was running groups. I mean, like, it was total insanity. I was probably working 70, 75 hours, sometimes 80 hours a week at the time, and had a baby at home, and like everything in my life was falling apart. My marriage was falling apart. I was literally on the verge of divorce. Like, it was horrible. And so I meet Dane, I get introduced to human design, I go through the spiral. So I begin to deconstruct my conditioning, right? By going through the spiral, and I start diving into human design. And So the thing that had happened in the 2 years previous to this is that I was doing a ton of work inside the Akashic Records for myself and clients. And so one of the things that I tell people about accessing the Akashic Records or doing readings inside the Akashic Records, especially for yourself, is that you gain an awareness of yourself across multiple timelines and multiple lifetimes, right? And so the self-assuredness that comes with knowing yourself, not just in this timeline and in this lifetime, but across multiple timelines and multiple lifetimes, like, it's just, I was feeling much more comfortable with who I was because of that internal exploration into my divine soul, right? Into who my divine soul was and into what the experiences were that my divine soul had been having. So for me, I talk about this a lot, where it's like, you know, so we are a whole. This soul that resides in this body is a whole, but it's a whole that makes up a greater whole that is our divine soul. So our divine soul is infinite in nature, and it's not going to be like, oh, I'm just going to go have this one experience as Leah on planet Earth. Like, that would be ridiculous, right? Like, why would this infinite soul only be having, I don't know, because I even invited you, Mallory. I think there's something up with Facebook. This live stream has been very interesting. The resistance is strong. Mercury retrograde has been kicking my ass for the last 3 days. It's like, hey, bitches, I'm going out with a bang. It's been rough. Let me just tell you something. We've been getting my podcast up. Trying to launch a podcast during Mercury retrograde, the struggle is real, y'all. The struggle is real. We're having like all kinds of hiccups. It's been so crazy. And I will just tell you that the only reason I'm launching this podcast during Mercury retrograde is because it's been in the works for 12 months. So it's not something new. It's something that we're finally rolling out. It just happens to be during Mercury retrograde. There are 4 episodes currently live of the podcast, the Wealth Witch podcast. I'm really proud of it. I honestly was like telling my husband last night, I'm digressing right now, but I'm going to tell you about this. I was telling my husband last night, I was like, I am so excited about this podcast. And I was actually telling Michelle this also. I'm like, I'm not quite sure why, but I'm really excited about the podcast. Like, I've been listening to the episodes. I've really been wanting to share the iTunes link, but it's not live on iTunes yet for some reason, Mercury retrograde. But it is up on SoundCloud and it is up on Spotify. So I'm going to give you guys the link to the Spotify. There's 4 episodes live right now. You can go and listen away. I'm really proud of it. I think it's going to be amazing. There's an epic interview with former NFL star Evan Britton, episode 2, which was the first interview that I did. And we will, so there's 4 episodes now ready to listen to, and then we'll be releasing new episodes every Friday starting next week. So definitely check it out. I think you guys will love it. I had been like, I'm really excited about it. Like, I'm so excited about it as a vehicle to share my message, and I'm not quite sure why, and it may just be because it's different, but I'm super pumped about it. So here is, I'm trying to find this damn live video. Come on, I shared it with the watch party. There we go. Here's the link to the Wealth Witch podcast on Spotify, so you guys can go check it out after this live stream's over. So, really had been having a multiple year deep dive into, you know, who my divine soul was, and, you know, feeling the self-assuredness that came from knowing myself over multiple lifetimes and multiple timelines, and then get introduced to human design and start the deep dive there with human design, and get introduced to the spiral and start going through the spiral, start breaking down my emotional conditioning and patterns that have been keeping me stuck my entire life, right? And so I feel like that moment, I was living in this townhouse. We had, you know, our business had imploded, we had downsized, we were living in this townhouse in Holiday, Utah. Actually really loved where we were living. We'd gone from like a 6,500 square foot house to a 3,500 square foot house, and it was like this, I felt like it was this cute, quaint little, it was just really beautiful, like hidden back in these, like on a mountain, like all this foliage. It was really, really beautiful. And so I remember that time, like I remember that time fondly. Even though it was a really difficult time, I remember it fondly because it really was the moment that things began to shift and that things began to change for me. And so I went through the spiral. My health slowly started improving. By the time I was through the spiral, my frozen shoulder was gone, which was amazing because it was really fucking debilitating and painful. It was mostly gone, right? I still actually have bone spurs in this shoulder, so I still get some stiffness in this shoulder, but like I have full motion now. Like I couldn't, this was it, right? It didn't go above here and I couldn't pick anything up and it was crazy. You know, and so then I went through the spiral and then I became, and then we decided to like uproot our entire life and move the family to Bali, which we did. And just everything began shifting and began changing for me. And I was dabbling in human design this whole time. Like the whole time I was dabbling in human design, dabbling in human design, dabbling in human design. But I was still very much at war with my physical vessel. I resented my humanity. I resented the fact that I lived in this body that was very, very limited. I resented the illness in my body. I resented the weight that I had gained. And again, like when I tell you, like this weight thing, this, what I perceive to be struggle with weight and body dysmorphia and stuff, it had been going on since I was 12. Since I was 12 years old, like I remember just the battles and the wishing. And it's so funny because I look back on pictures of myself now, from, you know, in high school and in, you know, slightly after in college and like the early years when I was living in New York, and I'm tiny. Like I was so thin, and in my mind I was so fat, you know, and I was just constantly seeking the next diet, the next fad, the next thing that was going to help me drop weight, the next thing that was going to help me get in control of my body, right? And I'm lucky and I'm blessed that I never developed a serious eating disorder. I definitely went through periods where I was severely restricting, but not to the point of anorexia. I like food too much, I think. And so that's the other thing is like, I'm also this foodie who absolutely loves food. And the worst thing that I did to myself, and I think that this is the biggest change for me, and this is the thing that probably makes me the most happy about where I am now, is that I love food. And so I would go out and I would eat these amazing meals and I would enjoy it while I was eating it. But right after, it would be like, go into beat myself up mode, like, and then punish myself, and then literally allow that beating myself up and feeling guilty and feeling bad for eating the food that I enjoyed while I was eating it, then that would be running in my bandwidth and taking up my bandwidth, right? That I'm a bad person, like why can't I control my eating? Like why did I eat that thing? It was so bad for me. Like I've just derailed the entire like last 2 weeks of restriction that I've done. You know, and so, and that affects us in so many ways, right? Like running those stories and running those tapes in our bandwidth affects us in so many ways. It affects our ability to manifest and create, and it affects our ability to actually be tuned into our body and living a healthy life, because that, I mean, it's debilitating if you have that. And I think most women have it to some extent, but if you have that, you know how crippling it can be. And it makes it very, very hard to focus, and it makes it very, very hard to be happy, regardless of what amazing things are happening in your life, right? When you're constantly beating yourself up over, you know, that thing you put in your mouth, or that piece of chocolate you ate, or like, why did you eat all of those mashed potatoes? You didn't need to eat them all. Or, you know, you really didn't need to have that dessert after you ate that steak dinner. Like, whatever it is that, you know, that to me was the hardest. I was constantly telling my body and myself that I was a failure, that I was a piece of shit because I couldn't like control my urges to eat food, or I couldn't control, you know, and then as a result, I couldn't control the weight. And I couldn't get to this ideal state that I don't even, like, it doesn't even fucking exist, right? Like in my mind, It's like, oh, if I just look like this, oh, if I just weighed this, and it's like, I would get to that weight. I would literally get to the weight that I was like, if I just weighed this, and then by the time I got to that weight, it would be something else. And it still wouldn't be good enough, and I still would be doing it all wrong. And so I go through the spiral, and it begins to deconstruct some of this stuff, right? Like the conditioning part, the part that's programming and the part that's conditioning. And as women in particular, we are programmed from a very young age that we're supposed to look a certain way, that we're supposed to behave a certain way. And not only were we programmed that way, but our mothers were programmed that way, and our grandmothers were programmed that way, and our great-grandmothers were programmed that way. And so, literally we're carrying generations of this programming through ancestral memory in our DNA. And so, for me, Spiral began to deconstruct that stuff. And so then I started diving into human design, and I started understanding my design and the level of awareness about myself and who I am. I mean, so many things made sense to me. I'm a 5/1 projector, so I realize that I am actually here to guide the energy types. I am actually here to be a teacher. I am actually I'm here to guide, right? I'm here to have universal influence. And I'm a 1 line, which explains my need to always know all the things, to always have all the information, why I buy like 32 books on a subject when I want to know something about it. So that all made sense, but the thing that was really, really powerful for me was understanding my line type, my 5/1, and that from that came an expectation to be all things to all people. And those expectations that were placed upon me my entire life caused me to have even harder expectations upon myself. And the problem with that is that the expectations that people had of me as a 5/1 were their projections. So they were their positive projections and they were their negative projections, and they actually had nothing to do with me. But yet I was taking them on as my own, and then I was holding myself to impossible standards. And so I spent a lifetime of holding myself to impossible standards. The standards that weren't actually mine, they were everybody else's. They were everybody else's projections about who I should be. And so knowing that and understanding that really allowed me to release some of the negative expectations that I had on myself, the expectations that were affecting me negatively, I should say. And so, then cut to here in recent months, I've been doing a much deeper dive. I would say my human design investigation is now bordering on obsession at this point. Like all I want to do is know all the things about human design and everybody in my life's charts, and it's getting a little ridiculous. But so one of the things now that I've been realizing is that I have 2 defined centers in human design, my throat and my spleen. And that's it. Those are my only 2 defined centers in human design. And so literally what it means is that I am here to teach the world about well-being. Like I'm literally here. That's my mission on earth, is to teach people about well-being. People come to me that want to find well-being in their lives. And so much started making sense to me because 1, it's the struggle that I've had. It's the lesson that I've had to learn, right? And 2, I have this obsession with helping people with wealth and being wealthy, but it all comes down to well-being, right? It all comes down to well-being. And, part of me, when I decided to launch these programs with Michelle Patrick, we have Inner Alchemy that's starting at the end of this month, and then we have Becoming Immortal that's starting in May, and our full Immortal program. There was a part of me that was like, you don't have any business teaching this, right? Like you don't have any business talking about this or teaching this. It's not in your wheelhouse. Stick with the money stuff. And, through this discovery and this really tapping into this to my spleen, my defined spleen, I'm like, no, this is actually exactly what I was meant to teach. Now, am I teaching? I'm not going to be teaching in this program the makeup of the human body. Like, that's not my role. Luckily, I have this amazing co-facilitator in this program who is a naturopath and a nutritionist and a doctor of Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, and 5-element philosophy, Chinese medicine. So I have this amazing counterpart that's there to help you understand all the parts of the physical form. But what I do understand is deconstructing the programming, and what I do understand is releasing the emotional conditioning, and what I do understand is, now that I've also been taking this huge deep dive into Chinese philosophy, is how the elements play a role in our conditioning and our programming, and how we can clear our elemental factors, our constitutional factors, but also the other elemental factors, to create harmony inside our body, and between our soul and our body. So, and I think that the 5 elements piece is the piece that actually finally freed me. So I become a spiral practitioner. I obviously start completely transmuting all of my fucking wealth conditioning, and I build a program around that. And now I'm helping hundreds of people deconstruct their programming around wealth stuff. And you know, the human design stuff has helped tremendously. But then I met Michelle, and Michelle introduced me to the 5 elements philosophy, and Michelle diagnosed me and gave me my constitutional factor diagnosis. And literally it was like, you know, when they're like, you've got the puzzle and there's a missing piece, but like that missing piece is like so powerful. It's like the puzzle doesn't even actually make sense until that piece is in, and if that piece is gone, it's like you can't even tell what the puzzle is. 5 elements philosophy was literally that piece that as soon as it clicked in, everything changed. Like everything. And all of a sudden, I felt free. And then obviously I started making all these associations with how, you know, 5 elements philosophy links in with human design, and links in, you know, I mean, obviously with the emotional clearing. And I literally have been so inspired by 5 elements philosophy that I've created a whole new emotional clearing modality around it called an emotional resonance clearing, that is focused specifically on the elements and clearing within the elements. But the understanding that I gained about my physical body through, I know, Melissa, I think you were the first person to sign up, actually. The understanding that I gained about my physical body through understanding my constitutional factor, it was like all of a sudden, now I understood why I was having the cravings that I was having. I understood why my body was reacting in certain ways. I stopped comparing myself to everybody else, because I finally had the full realization that each person is an individual, and that I can't, when it comes to health, when it comes to physical body health, this physical vessel health, we can't assimilate. So, you know, it's why things like keto, the keto diet, are so dangerous, because it may work for one person and it may work for several people, but ultimately, in the long run, your individual constitutional factor has to be looked at, because even though something may give you short-term benefits, it can literally debilitate your body long-term. And 10 years from now or 20 years from now, you could... Oh, Josiah's calling me. Hold on, I'm gonna message him on WhatsApp on my computer and see what's up. Well, hold on, he's saying something about his neck. I need to listen to the message.
I woke up, right, and my neck cracked really, really bad. It was loud, and beard. So yeah, I really have to look. I have like chin on my left shoulder. That's the only place where it doesn't hurt. So I don't know what to do.
Okay, hold on. I think there's something wrong. Give me 1 second, you guys. Okay. Okay. Something's wrong with his neck, so I'll go check him in a minute. He's all right. Because his neck hurts. So I will go check him out in a minute and see what we need to do about it. Where was I? Constitutional factor. Okay, so I started understanding why I was having the cravings that I was having. I gotta go inside, I think. I'm too hot out here. All right, we're gonna move into the other room because I am hot. I'm sweating. Oh. Ooh, and my computer's super hot too. It got really hot out there. Okay, here we are. Back in action. Where it's cool. Where we don't have to be sweating to death outside. Okay, so, and I think the biggest thing for me and why the war ended was because I started feeling better, first of all, but I also had a whole new set of tools. And so it's like, you know, if I decide to go out and eat, you know, I'm for the most part trying to stay away from gluten because of how it makes my body feel. But if I'm like out and there's an amazing piece of bread and I'm like, oh, I want to eat that. And if I eat a piece of bread, or if I eat 3 pieces of bread, the next day, I don't have to wake up in this state of panic or beating myself up or frustration about it, because I actually have the tools to serve my physical vessel to reduce the damage or to flush whatever the negative components are of the thing that I ate, right? Which I don't even actually believe is true anymore, because now I actually understand food, and I understand how powerful my belief and visioning is about the food that I'm eating. But, you know, for example, it's like I eat gluten. What happens to me is the next day I crave sugar, or I crave more carbs. And that is how it becomes debilitating, because then it's like the next day, then I eat a cheeseburger, and then I eat pasta, and then I eat pizza, because having the gluten in my body, that's the reaction it creates, right? It's not eating the gluten the one time, it's like what happens for the next few days after that. So now I have this amazing tool. I wake up in the morning, I juice potato juice, and I drink the potato juice first thing in the morning, and I have absolutely no cravings for sugar for the rest of the day, and it balances my blood sugar. Now, drinking potato juice isn't right for everyone, but it's just something I've learned that pertains to me and my body and my constitutional factor, right? That this is how I can support myself to not spiral out of control. And I've stopped hating my body. I've stopped being in a war. I've stopped being in a constant fight. And I can't even tell you how freeing it is and how amazing it feels. to be in that place. And, you know, I still have goals that I'm attempting to reach. But the difference is, I think now, is that I'm treating my body, my physical vessel, like I've treated the deep exploration of my divine soul. It's like now I've embarked on a journey to understand how my physical vessel works, the same way that I'm still on a journey to understanding my divine soul. And it's like everything's just information, everything's just data. And I'm enjoying the journey, and I'm enjoying the journey. Like, I'm enjoying actually understanding how my body works. I am enjoying understanding how certain foods affect me. I'm enjoying understanding, you know, the difference in how I feel when I do a 3-day juice or liquid cleanses 3 times, you know, or every month. Doesn't mean that that's what you have to do, right? That's something I've chosen to do for me, and now that I've realized really feels good for me. You know, almost entirely cutting sugar out of my system is another thing that I've chosen to do, and it is something that I still battle with because I crave sugar at times. But now, instead of like being like in this battle or in this war because I want to eat the sugar and it's like I think it's bad for me, it's like, no, I actually now have evidence that I don't feel well when I eat sugar. And so I get to make an educated choice, and I get to make an educated decision. So Michelle and I have developed this program, Inner Alchemy, and I am so excited to start this program because I'm so excited to share this wisdom and knowledge with all the people in my community. Like, I can't explain. It's like I literally don't even have words. I'm sitting here trying to explain to you guys like how different I feel and what the difference is in like who I am as a person, and I can't even explain it other than to just say the war has ended. And I get to be in a place of curiosity and learning and partnership with my physical vessel instead of a war with it. So we are doing a 6-month intensive program called Becoming Immortal, and we are doing a 12-month high-end program called Immortal. And those programs will be much more intensive. They will be much more focused on individual constitutional factors. There will be, you know, individual nutritional plans. Like, it's going to be, those programs are going to be very, very intensive. Because of the intensity of those programs, we are launching currently a program called Inner Alchemy. And it's because in order to move into one of those programs, you have to have foundational knowledge and wisdom about how your body works, about 5 elements philosophy, about the elements, and we need to get you to a place of semi-neutrality within the elements inside of your body so that you can start listening, hearing, communicating with your body, right? And so this is going to be a 6-week program with me and Michelle, and the first week's an intro week where we're going to explain all the philosophies to you, explain what we're going to be doing, and then each week we will be focusing on a different element. So you will be getting a live stream from Michelle each week where she's explaining the element, and she talks to you about all of the factors that you need to know and understand about how that element operates and affects your life. And then I will be doing a one-on-one, or not a one-on-one, but I'll be doing a group clearing session with the group on clearing that particular element. So clearing any of the conditioning or the programming, the questions that we most often are stuck in asking ourselves as a result of an imbalance in that element in our body. And so the whole focus of this program is to get the elements back into balance and to get you back into communication with your body. There will also be 6 weeks of nutritional plans for you, and they will be basic plans that will not be too hard. Like, they really won't be too hard to follow, but it will be setting up your body to continue on if that's what you choose to do. So this program, Inner Alchemy, it's a prerequisite for becoming immortal and immortal. So you have to have been through Inner Alchemy in order to join one of those programs. And then you'll also have to have a blood test that will be sent to Michelle, and then an interview with Michelle and I. We are taking the Becoming Immortal and Immortal programs really, really seriously, because this work does require dedication. It's just like self-responsibility and self-accountability. It requires dedication. You have to be willing to show up and do the hard work, right? But with this program, Inner Alchemy, it's like we can give you so much valuable wisdom and knowledge so that you can begin to change your relationship with your body. So that, and because I really think it's like we get stuck in this place where it's just like we've given up because we think that we can't change it. We think that we're never going to be able to have that type of relationship. It's like, I know for me, it was like, oh my God, I have an amazing relationship with the divine. I have an amazing relationship with my divine soul, or my higher self, or whatever you want to call it. But I have a horrible relationship with my body. And I never believed that my relationship with my body could be the same as my relationship with my divine soul. I just didn't believe it. And that is really what shifted for me through this work. And that's really what I want to give you in this program, Inner Alchemy. I want to give you an ability to reconnect to your body, and a belief that you can have that type of relationship with your body, and that your body can talk to you, and it can tell you what it needs in a clear and concise way that you can understand. And more than anything, I want to give you well-being. I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy. I want your overall life experience to be amazing. I want you to be able to create a heaven on earth experience in this lifetime. And for me, it's like we cannot do that when there's separation between our physical vessel and our divine soul. So that's what Inner Alchemy is about. I'm actually getting off of this live stream right now to go finish the lead page, which it's been on my to-do list for the whole week, and I haven't finished it. And so the program is $666 for the 6 weeks, which is a fucking steal for all the information that you're going to get. I can't even tell you how valuable this is going to be, and you're going to have forever access to it, obviously, as always with all my programs. You're also going to be getting 3 joint live streams with Michelle and I, really talking about programming and conditioning and wellness, just wellness as a whole, and the misconceptions about wellness. Yeah, you can drop the links, because so until the lead page is up, you can get this program for $444 or 3 payments of $185. So literally it's going to be up by the end of the day. So you have an opportunity to like opt in right now and save $222 on the program. So Mallory, you can drop the 2 links. There's the pay in full for $444, or you can make 3 payments of $185, as I mentioned. But that'll only be good through the end of today, because the lead page will be up, and then we will be officially in launch at full price. So, yeah, this program was intended to be accessible, and it really is going to give you an amazing foundation and base to build health and wellness on moving forward. But it's also an opportunity for you to come in and explore your relationship with your physical vessel, and to decide if you want to take it next level, if you really want to take and begin that path towards longevity and immortality. Like, you know, and we'll talk more about that inside the program, but you know, these bodies, these physical vessels, they don't have to just live to be 100. They live to be, you know, they only live as long as they live because of programming and conditioning and beliefs, and the types of foods that we're putting into our body, and not being in communication with our physical vessel. Like, there's a million reasons why we're only living to the lifespan that we're living to right now, but it's been proven that that doesn't have to be the case. And I'm really interested in helping people move towards longevity. And I don't just mean like being 150 and being decrepit and broken down. I mean true longevity. So healthy and vibrant in ages much later than 80 or 100. So I received a download months ago, before I even started this journey with the 5 elements, that I was going to be downloading a life extension protocol, and I was like, yeah, right, that's fucking crazy. And here we are months later with the beginning of the life extension protocol. So come change your life with me. Come change your relationship with your body with me and Michelle. Open the lines of communication. It's like, what do you have to lose? literally, what do you have to lose? You have everything to gain and really nothing to lose, because at the very least, you're going to walk away with a tremendous amount of foundational information that you can use the rest of your life to begin to play with or tweak or, use as you will. And I'm just like, I've got this book sitting here, Nourishing Destiny, the inner tradition of Chinese medicine. This is all about what we've been talking about, what we're going to be talking about, and what we're going to be doing. So would love to have you join me if it feels soul aligned for you, if it feels like a fuck yes, if you want to change your relationship with your physical vessel. Definitely hop in now and get the discount. If you have any questions, if you have questions about the program, definitely private message me. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm going to be just working on this lead page today. I need to go pay my staff and do my lead page. But first I'm going to go check on Josiah and see what's going on with his neck. So that's it. I love you all. Have an amazing rest of your day, morning, evening. What's the boob? What? No. It's called Nourishing Destiny by Lonnie S. Jarrett. Nourishing Destiny, Lonnie S. Jarrett. That is the book. It's really intense. I'll warn you in advance. Okay. Mwah. Love you guys. Have an amazing rest of your day, morning, evening. Remember, it is your divine birthright to be wealthy in all areas of your life, and you are so worthy and you are so deserving of it.